Hey folks, welcome to Grindhead of the Grindhouse. Second episode. This time we're doing Aliens Special Edition. And yes, Rob is here with me. How are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm also okay, actually, now that you mention it. We are both okay. So I want to be
Good.
very clear. We are doing a commentary on the special edition 2.5 hour version of Aliens. This is available on any of the recent DVD or Blu-ray releases in the last probably 10 years, something like that. So don't worry,
Yes.
if you have a copy of it, you probably have this version. But if you try to sync this to the theatrical version, you're going to run out of movie really quick. And some of what we're saying is not going to make sense. So, um, if you're ready to sync up your copy of Aliens Special Edition, you can do so by queuing up right before the 20th Century Fox logo even appears and press play now. You know, I never not get excited when I see the 20th Century Fox logo. Never. I'm always excited to see it.
Oh, I know. And I could always tell if it was Star Wars because of the extended version.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a thing. So, we were discussing before we started recording that this is the version of the film that I grew up on, actually. So, here's what I mean by that. We were like, how can you say that, Jim? It's very simple. This extended edition was part of the distribution deal that Cameron agreed to, meaning that they wanted him to cut down the theatrical version to fit a certain time, as you know, studios are wont to do. And he said, "Well, I have the cut that I like. I want that going on TV when it does go on TV." And they're like, "Fine, who cares?" I did see it once on VHS at a sleepover. This would have been, like that whatever year it came out on VHS, like right after it came out, and it blew my mind, right? And
Oh yeah.
this was the fall of 1989. No, it would have been 88. Super Mario 2 was coming out. If I'm not mistaken. And the reason that I know that these two things coincide is because I recorded Aliens off of television, and it was the extended cut, and there were commercials for Sears advertising the release of Super Mario 2 very prominently for Christmas.
Ah.
So, um, this is the version of the film that I grew up on. I didn't know, I didn't remember that the theatrical version was not the OG version. And I remember there being a big hoopla when the Laserdisc came out a few years later, and everyone said, "Well, that's the best version of the movie." I'm like, "It's the only version as far as I'm concerned." So I didn't really mess with it too much until it came out that you could buy it. I did get it on VHS, and then again on DVD, and then again on Blu-ray. But I got the super crazy quadrilogy version on Blu-ray, and I'm very happy. But so there's
Yeah, I'm
little.
waiting for a really nice 4K version.
I'm gonna buy those when they come out too, but I'll probably buy them individually because I don't need Alien Resurrection in 4K.
Yeah,
I just
no.
don't. The film's fine. It's fine. I don't mind that film at all. I think they did exactly what they wanted to do, and they did the thing. When I was a kid, the first time I saw this scared the shit out of me. This laser cutting thing, because I didn't know the origins of it. Like I didn't know, is this a human thing? Is this another alien thing? Like it's ambiguous on purpose, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what was
it's
it?
funny too because I think I saw this one first. I didn't see Alien first,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
know I saw
So
parts of Alien first. I saw parts of it. But this is the first one that I said all the way through. When was the first time that you saw this?
it probably was probably its first run on like HBO or something, you know.
Sure. So probably right around the
Uh
same time that
it
I saw
was
it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly, but because the the recording that we had, because we had VHS, of course, too.
Mm,
My recording of it was from HBO,
okay.
so it was the theatrical version. Now I had a tape off a TV of the extended cut, but I didn't like it as much. But it's it's still good. It's still awesome.
So, are you still in that same vein that you still prefer the theatrical version to this?
There are parts of the extended cut that I appreciate, but there are also parts I think. Well, we'll get there. I mean, I
Sure,
guess if you're
sure.
watching a commentary, you've seen this movie before.
At least you should
But
have.
the whole the yeah, but the going or doing the showing the Hadley's Hope, all that stuff at the beginning, I don't like as much because I think it takes
I
away
agree
some
with
of
that.
the.
Yeah,
I mean, of course, it's we're gonna have an alien movie, right? But it
right.
just I don't like seeing the way
It,
it is before. I just don't like it, and I
I,
think
I,
it's
I agree.
not needed myself.
I think that the two parts you need to have in the film for this to work, um, and I guess the TV version didn't have the Hadley's Hope preamble. Now that I think about it, it didn't. The special edition that we're watching
Mm.
will have it, so that's new. But the two parts that I think are integral to the film and are the theatrical version is lesser for not having them are the scene where they talk about her daughter and the whole
Yep.
sequence with the turrets. I think those two things alone, plus adding time to the whole aspect of Bishop pulling down the dropship to increase tension. I think those are like the two
Yep.
main scenes plus that little bit of added footage. I think make a big difference because this movie I think excels at building tension and having payoff, but never really letting you off the hook. And it's
No,
a very well crafted
and
movie.
I agree with that. I just yeah, and I guess it's just because the I equated the extended cut to that Hadley's Hope part,
Sure.
and even though I appreciated the other two, I thought that it made the movie lesser, in my opinion,
Yeah, the
than the
Hadley's Hope part
theatrical.
we can
Even though,
agree. Yeah, because I'm just so used to the the I guess the TV cut. I always forget about the Hadley's Hope part. So it's really interesting you brought that here. This is the part, of course, where she realizes she's been gone for over half a century. Um, has been drifting and everything else, which I think is cool because it's an ingenious way of retaining her isolation. It's a genius way of kind of setting the stage. They get to play with technology a little bit. Pretty cool. Jonesy does
I
not
remember
like.
even as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was just gonna say, I remember as a kid, I was always like, so she always dreams about learning that she's been in there for 57 years, like every
Right.
time. Is that? I just, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, maybe it's variations on it. Like half the dream
Right,
is for
right,
her, half the dream is for us. Let's be honest.
right.
And
No, right, of course.
yeah. Now, while I'm thinking about it, there's two things here in the scene that I think are of particular horror. The first one is the fact that the chest burster is coming out of her tummy, and the second one is that
Right.
all the suits in this film, the second half of your breasted collar goes up in this future version, which I think is stupid. I think it's dumb. And I love how the nurse is like, "You all right? No, I don't want to sleep. Cool," and just shuts it off. Like, I don't care. I didn't really care. And I gotta be honest,
No, I didn't.
yeah, it's weird. Um, I want there to be like a spin-off web cartoon about what happened to Jonesy after they left. I'm just saying that would be amazing.
Like Jonesy's Adventures on Earth.
Fuck yeah, man! I would watch the shit out of that. And I love this reveal that it's just a big screen, and all it is if I had to venture a guess, this was early in the filming. He did a lot of rear projection stuff throughout the film, and I'm willing to bet that he was
Yep.
using this as a test So when like the studios were like, "Is this gonna work?" and it's like, "Check this shot out. Does this work for you?" Pretty good. Do you know the history of the shot?
I do not.
Okay. So the photo of Amy, aka Amanda Ripley, that they show is actually of Sigourney Weaver's mother.
Right. No, I knew that.
Oh
I
well,
didn't
that's
know. I thought you meant of the
no.
like why they cut this, from the theatrical.
Mm-mm.
Because I think this is. You're right. I think this is integral to her character.
Because you've got to amp up that isolation, that kind of desperate, I've got nothing. And in the inquest scene we're about to witness,
Right.
you know, the only thing she has left is her standing in the company, and they just shrug her off like she's a bad case of fleas. It's horrible. And I'm going to bring up a minor elephant in the room. Um, I played Alien Isolation, and I find that game to be terrifying. But I don't buy that this person that we just saw in this picture was the one that went through this whole thing and came back to Earth and didn't tell anybody that she saw an alien on the ship and then just
Right.
died of old age. Like, I don't buy that shit. I don't buy it. So sorry, game developers. You should have just gone with a rando character. Would have been fine. You know how long it took me as a kid to realize that the
I
second
just.
time he said please, that he was asking her to sit down?
Oh.
Like, I almost graduated from high school before I realized that. Maybe it was a pan and scan problem. I don't
What
know.
did you? What?
I thought he was just pleading with her, like,
I
"Will you
always
see it from our
loved
perspective?" You guys of what?
this whole sequence.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I love all the information. It's like it's like more lore. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I just love it.
Like, it serves two purposes, storytelling wise. If you've never seen the first Alien, or it's been a while since you've seen it, because this came out 5 years after the original, and more than that actually. So
7, yeah.
yeah, so it basically shows like, okay, here's what happened in the first movie. In case you forgot, if you never saw it, here's what happened in the first movie. Here's what the alien does, and it does it in a way that doesn't feel like exposition dump at all. And it gives you exposition for the current situation all at the same time.
I just
What did I just tell you? Like, what are you, dumb?
it's it, it's just so good.
Yeah. This lady here needs punched in the mouth. I'm sorry. These are
Yeah.
your words. It has concentrated acid for blood. Like, just the look on her face, like, you're out of your mind, lady. But it's but then when she loses it, like, I was like, of course I would lose it, wouldn't you? You're just trying to protect the fucking planet, and they're like, well, no, you're fired. The hand reaching
It's
up for
actually
the
pretty
paper.
genius having Paul Reiser in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But he's reaching up for the paper, like, give me back my paper. But it is genius having him in there, because in this part of the film, you think that he's kind of in the middle between the company and being on her side. But then you find out later that's not it at all. He was in on it the whole time. Super evil. Great actor, Paul Reiser, too.
Yeah, it's just genius casting, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Now the special edition, the disposition of that is extended by a lot. And what it says is, you've got 6 months to get your shit together, rather than you're just fired. I kind of like that too.
Yeah.
And the shake and bake colony joke has not aged well. No one knows what shake and bake is anymore.
Yeah. It's also interesting too. I have a comic series from Dark Horse
Mm-hmm.
where it's the whole movie, but from Newt's point of view,
Oh, that would be
and it's just
great.
called Newt's Tale.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's exactly what you think it would be. It's not like super spectacular, but it was cool, especially when you didn't have access to the extended version. You could kind of see some of the like
Sure.
this right here.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
gonna be right on board
the
with you
Hadley
here. Like,
soap stuff.
I mean, this is cool to see as an aside, but I think putting it
Yeah.
in this order um just takes a lot of the tension away. Um I, I like the colonists that you see, but basically you could have had this whole thing cut off right before you see Newt's family. You know what I mean? Like you could show the colony, and you could show people saying like, well, you know, if they find something, it's theirs, it's fine, and then you could cut away from that. That would be okay. You know what I mean? Because that would like give you the idea that you found something. Yes, my lord. You know that kind of thing, like kind of an Empire Strikes Back kind of vibe.
Right.
But even that might be too much. Also, the this administrator fella, he played the captain on Red Dwarf, one of my
Hmm.
favorite British sci-fi television series ever. He's looking really good here. This is probably the thinnest he's ever looked on film. And I don't say that to diminish the man. I'm not fat shaming. I too am fat. But you can tell there's like this fine line between um like the military industrial complex aspect of this. Like you feel the corporate side and you feel the military side of it a little bit too. Just in the way their uniforms
Right.
are, the way they're talking to one another. Pretty cool. And I like the idea that they're establishing that when they're that far out, that really is kind of frontier rules, which I think is cool. And like I think right around here is when you could have cut right before you saw the kids. Or like right there you could have cut off and then gone to like 6 months later or
Yep.
whatever you needed to do. This is where it becomes completely unnecessary. It's a cool shot. I like getting to know Newt's parents, but I think in the terms of the overall film and the tension that you're building, it diminishes. Because in the original version, the Marines show up and spoilers, there's no one around.
Well, and from an editorial point of view, it doesn't make sense to, you know, cut away from your heroine, at this point in the movie.
Right, you should at least cut away to like some, you know, cocaine or meth or something. Heroin, forget it. That's a English vocabulary
Ba-doom-tsh.
joke, folks. But you gotta love the miniature work, and that's the original model from Alien. They pulled it from a collection, gave it a once over, cleaned it up, and filmed it. And that's one of the things I think is really interesting that everything you see has a practical aspect to it. There are there's nothing but matte paintings, models, and rear projection. That's it. Pretty much all they use.
Yep.
And this movie
Which makes
fucking
it super
holds up.
impressive.
Yeah. And when you see what they went through to get all this stuff, make it happen, you know, they didn't even have previs back then. So like after like Cameron would storyboard effects stuff after finding out what they could do. Like just the prelim stuff on the Queen is crazy. It's a bunch of guys in with some tubing and some garbage bags strung over them, just trying to show proof of concept. Here's how we could move. Here's how the Queen could work design one. And you
Yeah.
know, it's great.
Yeah, it's
Now,
awesome. I just like this whole. I think part of it too is that, especially the parents here,
mhm,
their acting is a little TV-ish. It
yeah,
just doesn't seem to fit. You know what I mean?
what you could have done was when they're like, "Hey, if they find something, like it's theirs," squatters' rights, whatever he says, then you could cut to the interior of the vehicle after they'd already stopped, and like right here, you could have cut right to this, where she's like, "They've been gone a while. What's going on?" And then she shows up, and the mom goes,
Yeah.
"Maddie, Maddie, Maddie, Maddie," and that could have been it. That could have been it. I think it just gives too much. You're too generous, Jim. You're too generous, Mr. Cameron. Like that's a cool shot. It could have made it
See,
in.
I almost think that they could have just done that whole thing about the don't ask, right?
Yeah.
Then you could have one of the guys go, whatever his name, whatever the dad's name is. Hey, we want you to go look at this thing. We're not sure what it is. Blah blah blah. And he's like, all right, I'll grab
Grab the fam.
Annie and the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll go check it out.
Whatever you
You know what
say
I
there,
mean? And
Newt
then
Senior.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just something. I don't know. It's just too much. It's too much too soon.
Also, before we get too far off of it, that shot right there where her cigarette has just burned forever and it didn't ash at
Yeah.
all. As someone who smoked for many years, that's impressive that she's sitting still that long. But if you've never smoked cigarettes before, it may not hit. And just then, Jim Cameron was like, "We bring werewolves into this."
Yeah.
Shouldn't neglect to mention that this movie was my first real conscious uh, awareness of what the Marines and what made them different from, say, the other armed forces. And I will say that a lot of the attitudes displayed in the film, they're up there. That's definitely what Marines are like. If it's not,
I'll tell you, for me, this movie was one of the movies that I studied.
mm-hmm,
I'm not talking about, read about the making of stuff, of which I did, but
mm-hmm.
I'm talking about going frame by frame and, excuse me,
Just the
and
yeah,
looking at each individual shot, looking at the edits, looking how what
mm-hmm,
was shot. And there's just, when the action starts, man, there's a ton of shots.
yeah,
I mean, you're
like
talking
the
about, Jim. I mean, you and I on the movie, we're talking about all the setups that we did. If you count the setups in this movie, it's ridiculous.
yeah, and because I like I was telling you before, like I just watched all the behind the scenes stuff for all the Alien films just recently. Again, I do it all the time, like at least twice a year. I watch them just because they're great comfort ear candy. I want to go through each thing, but if you just look at just the attention to detail in each setup, like you could have made this apartment look lived in without the level of detail that they have, and they went to great lengths to show that she'd been there for a minute, at least a few months. Probably this is probably after those 6 months, and then she didn't get to come back. I'm guessing, but they don't explicitly state that either. I also think that the idea of your business card also just being a direct line to your phone is a pretty cool idea.
I always thought that. I was like, yeah, just like everything's connected. Very, very cool piece of tech.
Yep.
Didn't exactly work that way, but
No,
still a cool
didn't.
idea.
Yeah, it wouldn't actually work like that. Because then you think about like uh hotel code keys. Well, what if your phone number changed? You can't retroactive recode that card. If someone tries to call you, they get some guy that like sells pizza or something. What are you talking about? LV426, you want pepperoni or mushroom, bitch? Like, what's up? Yeah.
Yeah. Or like Demolition Man, where he gets the wrong number in Demolition Man.
Right? We
Could
should do
be
that one sometime
could be a
too.
good thing.
Yes. I'm taking you to Taco Bell. Oh, Taco Bell, huh? No, you see the analog clocks up on the wall? Like that seems a bit out of place.
Mm,
This guy is such a practiced salesman.
yeah.
Like he just flat out, it's like, yeah, we're gonna kill him. It's fine. Whatever I need to get you there, it's happening. Basically, is what he said. And this is where, like in both versions, I love the fact that she tells Jonesy he's staying home, and then next thing you know, they're coming out of hypersleep. No need to explain anything else. Pretty cool. Uh, Ron Cobb was part of the design, and I know he didn't do the ship here. I forget the name of the designer that did it, but they went through like 3 or 4 different iterations. They had one iteration of the Suvako, the ship we're looking at now. They had like this round end on it. And they loved like the look of it, but they realized that they couldn't film it that way because the way that light and focus would draw because of the way it was rounded and stuff. I was like, I would never think of that. And, from a director standpoint, I would think that just looks cool. I like it. I would not even think about the how it's going to look on camera from a technical perspective. I would be like, that's your job to figure that out. I would, that just tells you like Jim Cameron has done every job you can do in the movie business, and it shows. He may be an insufferable asshole to work with, but you cannot deny the results. In this establishing shot, you get to see all their gear.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that always used to irritate me with the idea of what is it at the end of whatever movie, whatever Jurassic Park it is, when the military shows up at the end. I
Yeah,
was like, okay, that's the movie I want to see. I want to see aliens, but with Jurassic Park. Why haven't we
yeah.
seen that?
Well,
That'd be awesome.
there's 2 reasons, and both reasons are people don't. Most people that make those movies don't want to see the dinosaurs get killed because the message of the film gets totally splutched. Oh, they only had 4 of these, 3 or 4 of these, and they double mirrored to duplicate it because of a budgetary issue. It's pretty cool. That said, I don't know how they did the shot with all of them in a row like that. I don't know how they did that with those mirrors that they talked about. Every time I see Bill Paxton, I get a little sad. Rest in peace, dude.
Yeah, I was thinking about him the other day with
What? Is that a joke? Oh, I wish it were. Just like all this banter is so genius. Here's the one part where the military jargon doesn't quite work when he asks Hudson if he wants to fetch a slipper. He says, "Gee, would you, sir?" to a sergeant. You don't do that. You only call officers sir. Officers and civilians. That was the one time where I was like, you screwed it up. Other than that, it's pretty accurate. Like they're wearing the same gear that they still wear. In terms of like BT gear, like the shorts and everything. That's accurate. That's almost exactly what I had when I was in the service. Apparently, she saw an alien once. Snot nosed flyboys. No, have you? Oh, I love it. And in that moment, you're like, oh, those two really want to fuck, but they can't. And it's fine, you know. Think of the jollies
Hey, can
otherwise.
we pause it for a second?
Yeah. All right, folks. Sorry about this. Pause your movie. We're going to get back on track here. All right? We had a minor emergency. Everything's okay. Bring that movie back to 28 minutes and 51 seconds. And if you do that, you should see Bill Paxton sniffing a tray. That's where we're going to start. Now that you're there, you can hit play in 3, 2, 1, play. So, this is all extremely accurate to the Marine Corps experience. You get shitty trays, shitty cutlery, shitty food. And the whole like, what this crap's supposed to be? Cornbread, I think. I had actual conversations, unironically like that, in boot camp. True story. It's good for you, boy. Eat it. I want to see a movie about Arcturia. It don't matter when it's Arcturia, baby. That means that they are either hermaphroditic, bisexual, or something. Now, not Lance Henriksen, freaking, oh my God, what's his actor's name? It is Lance Henriksen. What am I thinking? He practiced with this. Granted, they sped up the film, but he practiced this, like, split the tops of his fingers open getting this right. And apparently, like, he's really good at it. Masterful shot. And because they sped up the film and they had multiple angles, they were able to hide the fact they'd sped up the film. Pretty cool. It wasn't funny, man.
Hey, Bill Paxton.
I love Bill
I love that
Paxton,
guy.
man. This, of course, is the reveal that Bishop is an android. Michael Biehn. He came on to shooting a few days after the shooting started because the actor that it originally hired had something happen and he had to drop out. And they had to fly Michael Biehn over in less than a weekend. And he just rolled right in. Didn't have any prep time at all. This whole delivery really pisses me off with Paul Reiser. Not as an actor, but as a character. Hyperdie being, of course, a really little tiny reference to Cyberdyne. Stay away from me, bitch, if you got that straight. Guess she don't like the cornbread either. Don't blame her. Cornbread's got to be just right, man. That's an entire miniature shot, and then you can see that.
And then there's the
Yep, that
there's
cable is
the
what.
line right there.
Yep, that cable's the line, the blue screen or whatever. Man, it's such a good movie.
I think that's part of the problem with moving this movie to 4K. You know, all that stuff is gonna be really, really obvious.
If they do some color correction and some contrast stuff, probably be all right. Because the lines are pretty good if you look at it. Like some stuff doesn't look right, you know. Like I've seen some films where it's really obvious. This is really clean. This is really clean screen work. And all the chains floating around, I don't know why that is. And why are they there? And I love how there's this juxtaposition and then the characters kind of come together in this moment. Because it would have been easy to play this scene off where Ripley just gets mad at them. But instead she goes, no, I hope you're correct. I hope you kill them.
Yeah.
Effectively. I don't need this shit. This could have gone a very different way. And then fucking Gorman cuts her off like the pompous asshole that
Yeah.
he is. And they're like, by the way, there's, you know, 250 ish colonists. Just saying. I love this part. What is it, private? And I absolutely adore the last thing Apone says after they do the briefing is, come here.
Yeah. And he was an actual
Yeah,
sergeant, right?
he was in the Green Berets. Yeah, he was I believe an E6 or an E7 in the Green Berets in Vietnam, and he had a few run-ins with a few people flagging the line, as they say. Are you familiar with that terminology? Do you know the flag the line terminology?
Do I know it?
Yeah, you.
No.
Okay, I'll explain it to you and the audience. Flagging the line is when you point your weapon at anything other than a live target. And apparently, some
Hmm.
people were shoving their muzzles all over the place, and the actor that plays Apone got a little PTSD on him, with good reason. And
Hmm.
also, I gotta say, even though this is a setup for the battle later in the film, I think these loaders are really good design, actually. Like in real life, like this makes a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
sense. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And again, establishing all these setups and payoffs, man. They're they seem like character development, but they're actually setups for payoffs. So they show, her being able to use the load
Yeah,
lifter.
Cameron's always been good at that.
Oh, he's amazing at it. Reebok, I wonder how much they paid for that shit. And then she just goes out there and is like the most stylish ever. She's like, check out my hands, bitch. She just she's clearly showing off. And there's a ton of moments throughout the film where you see Ripley, Hicks, and Newt together. And it was always Cameron's intention to show them as kind of a family unit that was
Yeah.
growing throughout the film. Man, I wish he'd have done the third one. No offense to David Fincher or anyone else involved, but man, I wish he would have done one more. One more. It would have been so good.
Yeah, it would have been sweet to see.
Yeah.
And it would have been interesting if he went a totally different direction than this movie, you know?
Yeah. Like doing the same thing to Aliens that he did to Alien.
Right. Which I mean, in a way that's what Alien 3 did, but not in a
It,
way a lot of people liked.
I mean, if you look into the making of that film, and folks, we're going to do that film as well. We'll probably loop back around and do Alien as well, but I think we'll have more to say about Alien 3 than that one. Because Alien's just a perfect film. Like, what are we going to do? Just record our jaws on the floor for 2 hours?
Right.
But no, I actually have a lot to say about that movie. Um, but Alien 3, I think, would be fun to do because a lot of people just don't know the background and how convoluted that was. And it was something where the entire, like, 20th Century Fox was riding on whether or not that movie could be profitable. Like, the company was going to go under if that movie didn't do well. So it was just way too many cooks in the kitchen. Versus this,
Yeah.
which had elements of that, but for the most part, Jim had proven himself to be worth the investment. The conflicts came on set because he was filming in England with a crew that was very well established that didn't know who he was. And their methodology of working really railed against his always on all the time thought process. Like he had a big problem with tea time. Like the tea tray would come and be like, "What the fuck? I want to do this shot." And the British crew was like, "This is just what we do. Get over it." Basically, and I think by the end of it, they all kind of got their thumbs out of their butts because I think it was a failing on all sides to respect each other. Um, you know, but Jim Cameron is notoriously intense to work with. And most of the
I remember too.
yeah,
Oh,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I remember too. All this right here just kind of blew my mind a little bit. My what, probably 12-year-old mind. It was just like, man, this movie is it's so cool.
Yeah, like it's all this stuff with like boyhood wish fulfillment stuff.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was talking to the recruiter about joining the Marines, and he's like, "Well, it's not like aliens, right?" And I'm like, "No shit, it's not like aliens. Like that technology doesn't exist. Number one, number two, I'm not going to be introduced in number three." And he's like, "No, I get it. Okay, fine." But what I like about this is that like all of their gear, with the exception of Hicks because he wasn't there for this part, all the actors dressed their own armor up with like different sayings, like a la Vietnam and stuff. And one thing Ron Cobb did for the dropship, he had this crest that was made that said, "We make species, we endanger species." And it was like this eagle that was
Hmm.
stomping on a bug. Kind of cool. Jingoistic, xenophobic, but funny.
Also, something to point out too is, like the in the pipe 5x5 and
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of things that I can't remember the pilot's name, but they use that in StarCraft.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like one of those things that StarCraft is like a mixture of Alien and Predator. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
fun.
You ever play Aliens versus Predator on PC? One that came out like '99, I want to say.
I don't think so.
That's a game worth getting. You can still get it on Steam, and you can play as a Marine, Predator, or an Alien, and it is by far the most faithful to all three franchises. Really good. Yeah, this is also exclusive to the special edition where he goes into a lot more detail about like what they have in terms of their weaponry and stuff. So the particle beams, where did those occur in the film? Never.
Yeah, oops.
Yeah. There's like little tiny pieces that you're like, it's fun and it's good character development, but it's kind of, as Bruce Willis would say, it's chuffa. The model designer hated the fact that those wings that come out with the ordnance were so thin. He didn't feel like that they would be strong enough to hold the weight. I'm like, that's your point of contention on the practicality of these vehicles, really?
Yeah.
But I get where he's coming from. We manufacture those, by the way.
And because of the graininess of their screens, it actually looks real, but
It
it's
does,
just a
yeah.
camera over a, You know what I mean? It just gives that
It's
little
kind
bit of
some
I don't know what you
realism,
call that.
a little bit of.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
I mean, they should have slowed down the video in that particular shot because
yeah,
it looked a little too miniaturish, just because of the speed of which it was moving. Otherwise, it's dead on. You're right.
right. I
Did
mean, what
we
is
miss
this? 1985 is probably when it was shot. Maybe.
85,
I mean,
86? Yeah,
yeah.
and they made use of everything. I will say this: there's the crest, the bug thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
the APC is actually a modified plane tower, like a tug, like a plane tug. They just put a shell around it, and those things weigh like
Hmm.
6 tons or something. And there's a shot later in the film when they're doing like one of the aliens getting crushed or something, and at the
Yeah.
last second, Gayland Hurd, who was at the time Jim Cameron's wife and has been the producer on a shitload of films, including a lot of Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff, just insanely prolific producer, um, does not get enough credit in my opinion. The last second she goes, you know what? Let's control those cameras remotely just in case. And apparently the APC destroyed the camera and would have run over whoever was operating it if they hadn't done that. It was one of those last minute things.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then there was right around that same time frame, there was a scene in terms of continuity anyway. There's a scene. Yeah, I would be very happy to electrically bypass that keypad in the pouring rain like that. It'd be great. It'd be awesome. Electrocution. But later in the film, when there's fire inside of the APC, there was plastic that was burning, and they actually were not able to breathe. And they end up having to take the roof off of the APC in order to film that shot without the actors being able to, not breathe. This is just,
Man, I didn't even realize. I didn't know that.
yeah. Ron Cobb did all the designs for corridors. Ron Cobb has been quoted as saying, I love doing corridors. He just loves it. Um, and like just the, again, attention to detail. Like it's easy to just throw trash around, but like look at like the detail on the stuff that's falling through the ceiling and like the everything's melted and fused, and you can tell it's been there for a hot minute.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff. And
Really good stuff.
that's the thing too, is that just the way that this is shot, no music,
Yep.
you could barely hear anything. It's just everything's super quiet. It's so tense.
Mm-hmm.
So well done.
I also rather like the fact that they're establishing like all the cameras on everybody, and you know establishing how you're going to be able to view things when things get more tense later.
Right. It's almost like, to me, that's one of the things that, we kind of hinted at it before. It's kind of like little shots or little scenes that set up something that's going to happen later. He is the king of that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's in Avatar, it's in Terminator, it's
In
in
Titanic,
Titanic. Every movie, yeah, every movie he's ever done, he
even
does that where
Avatar.
it's almost the planning of it is a scene in itself, and it's so important to the flow of the movie.
Yep. And like I hate Avatar. I dislike that movie with a passion. Um, Mainly because even though I saw every single flaw in it, it accomplished what it set out to do, which I hated that it was like, well, it's still a competent movie that does exactly what it set out to do.
But you just hated the movie, huh?
It's Dancing with Wolves with fucking Smurfs that are 10 foot tall. That's all it is. That's what that movie is, dude.
I loved it. I saw it many times
I enjoyed
in
it for what it
theaters.
was, but after I saw it more than once, I was like, motherfucker, this is Dancing with Wolves. I was like, forget it. Let's just forget it.
There's something I think for me it was Sam Worthington's character,
Yeah,
Jake. I just I identified with him at the beginning.
sure.
So when he gets his avatar and he can feel the dirt between his toes and he can breathe and he's like I
I
don't
I
know, there's
might
something
I
there
might
that I just
I might have to rewatch it because you know I haven't watched it in like 10 years, so I don't remember that shot.
yeah.
That's exclusive to the special edition. I like the donut, although the donut should have mold on it, don't you think? These little tiny things where they're like, suddenly her story is being corroborated, and like, can you see like recognition? And also, there's like a tiny bit of vindication on her face. She's like, "Fuck, I told you, like I told you, I wasn't bullshitting you." I love how he like, and then someone hits him and he goes, "Quit screwing around!" Like you were just spitting down the hole. You were screwing around. Sure, it's weird.
And of course there Vasquez, plays John Connor's stepmom in
Yep,
T2.
Wolfie's just
So
fine. Yeah, she was a theater actor in Great Britain and had just gotten her the British equivalent of the SAG card, and was it just gotten it, and then happened to get this audition, and is cast very much against type. She's not like super badass, which I would never have thought if I didn't hear it from her own mouth, because she's pretty badass.
yeah.
Come on, Burke, you don't have a raincoat? Come on.
I love the look on her face
Yeah.
when she actually is inside.
And this is not in the theatrical
This
cut.
is special edition.
Yeah, totally special
Yeah.
edition. But and it also just shows that Hicks really like not just out of a sense of duty, but he legitimately cares about her, and that just builds and builds and builds over the course of the film in an organic
Right.
and
Right
believable
here.
way.
Here's that look that I'm talking about.
Like she's just like constantly looking. Yep, she is looking around like this, like she's already on like. Ah!
Yeah, she's on high alert. And her hair's dry already. But hey.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's wet. It's not dripping wet, but it's wet. It's glistening. Don't be that guy, Rob. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Well, hey man, continuity.
That's right. Those of you who don't know, uh, that was Rob's entire job inside of the Game Changers film. So, kind of his thing. Forgive him. We love him anyway.
That's something I remembered from like the first time I saw the extended cut. I was like, wait a minute, why is her hair dry, or at least drier?
Right.
But hey, it's okay.
Yeah, but you don't know exactly how much distance she traveled before she got there. And, how slow they're moving and
Right.
stuff. Like, there's some time, passion at the time. Sure. And here we go with the very first legitimate jump scare of the entire film. Spoilers. Um, oh, you see your jump there? How perfect that was?
Yep.
That's actors really giving to each other. It's pretty cool. Oh man, I just love this whole. I just fucking love this movie, Rob. And like as an audience, you're like, something's gonna happen at some point soon. Like, well, you need to be careful. Boom! Look at that face hugger pussy. Yeah, he likes you, Berg. And the implication here in the special edition is that they're talking about Newt's dad. But there's no evidence of that because they have so many huggers, in captivity. So,
Yeah.
but I like the fact that it also illustrates that the colonists really tried. They tried really hard to contain this shit. This is a good opportunity to mention that every single weapon in the film is modified from a real firearm that they just dressed up. And they work with their whole basis of it was we want to have firearms that look good on film in terms of the way that they fire, like their firing patterns, the blast zones, and all that stuff. And they went pretty deep with that stuff. Kind of cool. Motion tracker is such a perfect plot device. Helps build tension, drive the action. Whoever thought of that? Well, Jim Cameron thought of that. So good. Did you know that
And the
before
sound
the
of this weapon.
all the blah, 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 yes, I even know this film down to the firing patterns, motherfucker. Pretty sick when you know a film well enough. You're just like, well, I know exactly what his fire rate's going to be here. And here's Newt, looking very mid '90s goth here.
Yeah.
Well, punk actually, because punks are more known for being dirty than goth are. I should say. Sorry, goths. Kind of a little bit of Robert Smith from The Cure with the hair being the way it is. Have you seen him lately? He's
Right.
he's he's a
Yeah.
disaster, dude. He looks horrible.
I haven't seen him lately.
Just Google him. It's not good. Like it's not that he looks so bad in general, but he's trying to have the exact same look that he did 30 years ago, and it's not working. And you look around this little cove, like at a glance, like it's like every kid's dream of a little hidey hole. Because she's got snacks and she's got all this like cozy stuff, got airflow, kind of cool. Then you realize, oh wait, this child has severe PTSD from running from bloodthirsty monsters. Now, the young actress, Carrie, the hell is her
Hen.
last name? Carrie Henn, thank you.
Hen.
She, Henn, yeah. Every time when you said Henn with such urgency, I was thinking Harry and the Henderson. George Henn. My name Henn. George Henn. Sorry. She had no acting experience at all going into this. And I think her brother went to audition. No. Like her friend or something went to audition and they just were like, you want to audition? Sure. And they just liked the fact that she didn't have that child actor, commercial actor propensity to like deliver a line and smile because
Right.
it's not good for conveying PTSD. And for someone who has zero acting experience, she is amazing in this film. Child actors are hard to pull off to begin with. But in a role like this, an adult would have a hard time pulling this off. And then here, I think it's interesting that like you're starting to see, Ripley lost her daughter in a sense, and she gets to exercise some of those mom muscles. But it's very believable. I don't believe Sigourney Weaver had kids at this point. I don't think she did. But acting or no acting, like it's really believable. Like everyone deserves a mom like Ellen Ripley. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
And I'm really like glad that Carrie has always been really enthusiastic about the fact that she starred in this film, and has always been very generous with her time for documentaries and conventions and stuff. You don't often see that. So many actors kind of fall by the wayside. Look at like Ke Huy Quan, who was in Goonies and Temple of Doom. He's done some stunt coordination in the background, but he's not real like really public about stuff, which is I think weird in a way because he's still in the business.
So he doesn't like talking about it?
I've never seen an interview with him ever, not one.
Hmm.
Did you see him on any special features for like any of the Indiana Jones box sets? I didn't. Was he in those?
Yeah, that new box set's coming out pretty soon too.
And I bet you
Kind of
there's
curious if there's going
nothing.
to be anything new on it.
Well, there was those like really comprehensive documentaries on the last one that came out 10 years ago. When it was just DVDs. I have the Blu-ray version of that.
Yeah.
There's nothing new on that. It's just the Blu-ray version of that, which is fine. I don't recall Ke Huy Quan being in there. Weird.
I wonder when they did, Josh Gad was doing that thing where he would have cast on and do like a Zoom call type thing. And they did it with Goonies, right? I wonder if he did that.
Good
I
question.
didn't actually watch that one.
I haven't watched it either. If you're watching this and you know the
Well,
answer,
maybe.
comment below. If we make any assertions that are incorrect, I invite you to correct us. But if it's something I know that I'm right about, I will cite my sources. So be careful. I love how like this the face hugger, like they actually use like tripe and actual meat as opposed to making it out of latex.
Yep.
And I guess they kept it in a refrigerator overnight. And the only people that would touch it were like the special effects guys and Lance. No one else would touch it. They're like, ew. That's a crazy
Yeah, they
small
definitely
area.
doubled down on the
Hmm?
organicness of it.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mm-hmm. Such a great
And I
looking
wonder
vehicle.
if that's one of the things story wise. I always wondered if,
Mm.
you know, James Cameron had seen the director's cut of Alien, where the alien makes a nest, in the the original theatrical cut that didn't exist. Where Ripley actually has a conversation with Dallas, and
Yeah, yeah,
Dallas,
yeah. If you look
tells
at
her to kill him.
if you look at that and then compare it to the shots of the same thing in Aliens, there's way too many similarities visually for me to believe that he didn't see that. It would be too coincidental that he, because you would imagine that Fox would give him access to all that shit, right?
Sure. And it just makes me wonder if in the writing of the screenplay he was like, you know what, I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that kind of idea
Oh, I like
of
that,
a
Johnny. I'm going
nest.
to use that.
Yeah. I think that's the fascinating thing. Just, if you're into movies and movie
Yeah.
making, there's just so many aspects of production that you can spend your whole life looking into,
Mm-hmm.
pre-production,
Yep.
actual production, post-production. There's just reams and reams of paper and books you can read about it, and it's just, to me, it's fascinating because every movie is different.
Mm-hmm. And like look at like the whole Evil Dead thing, right? Because Sam Raimi had some involvement in the remake of that, and like the major differences between those two movies, like you can't recreate what was done back then because so much of that was done off necessity. And then you look at like people that go back and try to correct films, sometimes disastrously. Special edition Star Wars. And then you have like something like Blade Runner, where I think it really worked. Like if you look at the way that Scott
Right.
approached, the final cut of Blade Runner, which yes, folks, we're going to do that one at some point relatively soon. I'd like to. That is an easy film because there's like no dialogue in it, so we could talk through the whole thing and be okay. Um, but I think that I would say virtually everything Ridley Scott did to the final cut of Blade Runner was to its benefit. And you look at something like this where um, Cameron never needed to go back to like fix anything, but this special edition kind of shows it the way he wanted to show it. And like we said before, with extremely few exceptions, they all make sense.
I would just like, for me, that's, I think that's the number one thing that I would hope for this movie is the there's a I can't I don't know enough about cameras to tell you, but there's something about the way that this is shot that you can tell that it's not going to translate well to 4K. There's still going to be a softness to it.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. I mean, look, I'm hopeful, and of course, the rear projection stuff is going to really stick out, I think. But we'll
yeah.
see. You never know.
But on the same
Maybe
token,
that's why
like
Cameron's been so dodgy on it.
I could see that, and I also think that you know, we're talking about maybe 10% of the shots being affected. You know what I mean? Where the rest of it will probably look like insanely good. Um,
Yeah,
like I would because like look at the Queen battle at the end is all practical, all of it, every last bit of it, except for the fact when they get shot out of the airlock. That's a screenshot, but the rest of it would look amazing in 4K. I would hope. Um, but the Blu-ray edition looks really, really, really good. So I don't know. We'll see. Because again, we're talking about that.
yeah,
You've had the discussion on your channel. I've talked about it. We've talked about it. Where 35 millimeter film, you put it on 4K, that's a lossless conversion, and that's exactly how it's supposed to look. So as long as they're working from the original 35 millimeter film stock, which I know Fox has for this, clearly, um, maybe it'll turn out better than where it won't. Like, yeah. Why don't you
you
take
know
a
how many
second?
times I've said I like to keep this handy for close encounters.
Oh man, I've said that a
Uh,
lot myself. Yes. But for those that
yeah.
don't understand that concept, why don't you take just a quick minute to explain that? I'm gonna run to the bathroom. Explain to them what we're talking
Okay.
about. When we talk about the 4K transfer and how it relates to the 35 millimeter.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically, when you talk about 1920 by 1080 is Blu-ray. If you translate 35 millimeter to pixels, it's going to be above 4K. It's somewhere in the. I think a lot of people have said that it's around 5K, which means, what would that be? 5,000 lines horizontally. or 5,000 pixels horizontally. So there's still room to go with 4K, and that's why, especially if you get a very competent transfer to 4K, for example, Jaws. Jaws looks insanely good in 4K. I mean, most movies are gonna translate really really well. Jaws was shot in what 1974, 1975. Well, it came out in summer of '75. So yeah. Hopefully a transfer of this movie to 4K will do it justice. And if you hadn't seen Alien, this is the scene where the fit hits the shan.
And I am back.
I was just saying that if you hadn't seen Alien, and this was your first movie, this is where the fit hits the shan.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I love how like the juxtaposition of they find someone alive and they're just like, we want to save you. And they're not listening to her. Kill me.
Mm. It's so. I mean, it's weird when I see this movie now. I remember seeing it. I remember what it was like seeing it as a kid. It
Yeah.
felt dangerous. It felt like I shouldn't be watching this.
It's exactly how
You
I
know?
felt. It was like 9 or 10 at night. I was at a sleepover at a buddy's house with a bunch of kids, and I was mortified. Like I was so scared.
Yeah.
And
See,
one of
it's
the
weird.
yeah, go ahead.
Like my dad was one of those people. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
What were you gonna say, Jim?
I was going to say that one of the producers of the film recalled seeing people getting up from their seats and walking, and he thought they were walking out. They were walking to the back of the theater so they could watch it from further away, so it wasn't in their face because they were getting scared. But your dad, you were saying about your dad?
Oh no, I was just saying that my dad was one of those people that nudity was out of bounds, but violence, nah, all for it. Show that to a 12-year-old kid.
Right. My dad was kind of like, um, by the time I was 9 or 10, he had kind of decided, whatever. I'm here with him. I can show him in contact. And when we do our commentary on Conan the Barbarian, oh yeah, that's coming. Um, I have a lot to talk about on that one. My mom was pissed at him for showing me that movie. When I was a kid, I didn't catch the fact that his name was Wiersbowski. I thought he was saying, "Where is Bowski? Where's Bowski?"
Yeah,
Man, like just the movement of these xenomorphs is so good.
very ant or
Mm-hmm.
bug like, which is great. And I
It's a
love when
bug,
they're
huh?
hopping along the walls and stuff.
Yeah. Did no one teach you how to give orders in a more expedited manner?
Right. And that's what that they only had a handful of suits.
Mm-hmm.
They made it feel like there were just hundreds of them.
Yep. They
You know, just
they
amazing
had
stuff.
they had about 6 or 7 suits of each type. They had some that had parts glued onto just nylon suits for the flexibility stuff. They had hero suits for the slower stuff. They had ones with like where the heads were more animatronic for stuff, and but all in all, I think they had less than 25. But like they were cut up into segments of like what they'd be used for. It just goes to show you like how many setups they probably had. And those are all guys in suits. There's no miniatures. Well, that's not true. You had miniatures for like or like full size dummies for like when they're getting run over and stuff. But which you're about to see. I tweeted
And
this out
here's
the
your
other.
music.
Yep, from the other day, I tweeted this out because like when I'll be doing this mundane tasks like making coffee or getting dressed, I'll hum this to myself. Dun, 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 dun. You know? And there's a death metal band out of Poland called Lost Soul. They did a death metal cover of this, which is pretty cool. It's not perfect, but it's an interesting take on it.
And this is James Horner doing the
Oh,
score here. And this score has been used in countless movie trailers over the years.
especially at like the ending little spike, like when they're fleeing.
Yeah.
I guess now's a good time as any to talk about like the problems he had making the film. There was they were making edits a lot of the time based upon different effect shots and changing pacing and things like that, which is all well and good. But his budget and time had been cut so short because they went over time and budget in England that by the time they get to the scoring session, Cameron and Hurd were like, "Hey, like, can we change this cue here? Can we do this? Can we move this around?" And he's like, "I can do it, but I need more time and more money to do it." Like, well, we don't have time or money. He's like, well, then I can't do it. Well, and then Galen Hurd famously says, "Well, then we'll get somebody who can." And his response, and I love this, he says, "Please do, and let me stick around because I'm sure I'll learn something from them. If you can find someone that can do this in this amount of time on this budget." And ultimately, they, made things good enough to work together. But it was many years before they even spoke, let alone worked together. I think Titanic was the first film that Horner did for him after the fact. So it took him like 10 years to reconcile. Kind of crazy.
Hmm.
He did do Titanic, right? I mean, I honestly don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was the first film he did with Cameron after Aliens.
I'm not sure.
Well, I'm going to look it up now, but I'm 85%
Oh,
sure that
there's
it
your
was.
shot that you were talking about
Here's the
earlier.
one. And that's the shot where they ran over the camera. And it's for what? 2 seconds of film.
Well, this whole sequence is what I used to watch frame by frame to just study different shots and different,
Mm-hmm.
like, how many frames of film versus, you know, like how do you tell the story visually?
Yep.
It's almost like a comic book. It's amazing stuff. So many cuts.
James Horner, Titanic. That was the first one. Thank you, Wikipedia.
There you go.
Like, I didn't trust my own memory. Don't get old, kids. So we missed a few things that I wanted to talk about real quick. Like the moment where Hicks puts the shotgun into the alien's mouth and says, "Eat this."
Mm-hmm.
That was shot in reverse.
Hmm.
They did it 3 or 4 times, couldn't get it right, and then camera goes, "Shoot in reverse." And then Michael Bean was like, "That worked really well. Can we do all that shit?" But I like how finally they are giving her the respect that she's due with the experience that she had. But they're also still trying to deal with the trauma of it having happened to them. And they're trying really hard to brainstorm. This is
Freaking Bill Paxton. He's so good.
but he was smart. Like he was the lowest ranking guy there with the least amount of experience outside of Gorman, and he's just like, let's just leave. Can't we just leave? I've said that many times. They can bill me. And I love the logic, and it's flawless. That Ripley comes up here and just says, "This is military jurisdiction, and guess what? You don't get to make that decision, buddy. Sorry." I was really looking forward to Bill Paxton doing old guy roles. You know that?
Yeah. It kind of, yeah, it definitely sucks.
Didn't he die on like an operating table for some routine ass surgery? Like something really senseless?
I don't remember. I just remember it was just like, oh man, no.
Yeah. Sucks.
It's so funny. As much crap as I used to give Bill Paxton for Titan or not Titanic, Twister, it he's good in it.
He
He's
was.
good in everything he did.
And I think that's part of why like he's an annoying actor in that uh, he's always likable even when you desperately want not to like him. He's just a
Right.
likable dude. So vis-a-vis his death, he had a damaged heart valve, um which was the result of rheumatic fever he had from the age of 13. He did open heart surgery to repair that,
Wow.
and 11 days later he died of a stroke. He was 61 when
Sucks.
he died in 2017. Didn't even seem that old. It helps to know he was over the age of 60, but not by much. Like he
Yeah.
felt so much younger. He always looked and sounded about 10 to 15 years younger than he was.
These
This
shots
here,
right here.
this
Oh, I
here, oh
love
my
these
god.
shots.
But the hand movement here in the blood, oh, then right there,
Yes.
right.
So good. And here's your rear projection.
Yep, there it is. But can you? But how valuable could that have been as an actor to have that to react to? Holy shit! Fuck, that's a good shot. This whole movie's amazing. God, it's good.
His face.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Bill.
That's just great. That's just fucking great, man. And then here's a real NCO moment. So Michael Bean's character Hicks is a corporal. That was the rank that I was at when I was most of the time I was in the military. Actually, the earliest you can get corporal in the Marines outside of a meritorious commendation is 2 years on the dot, which I got on the dot 2 years. And then they did a freeze on promotions for the rest of the time I was in, and who were like, "Do you feel bad about that?" I'm like, "No," in the sense of like I would have loved to have been a sergeant or a staff sergeant, but um, it wasn't my fault. I didn't get promoted, which was a beautiful thing. Um, but corporals are often put in that position where they have to take care of everything. So I can relate to his character more now than even I did then, which is pretty cool. Here's their spring cleaning scene. And all that is a shotgun shell with a button on top. That's all it is.
Hmm.
What's interesting about the functionality of those, you can put them into the grenade launcher, which is really just a shotgun that's been redressed, hence the shotgun shell size rounds. But with the button on top, you can use them like a hand grenade too. You just press the button down, and you got a fuse, and you can throw it. Or as we see later in the film, hang on to it and blow up and die. What I don't like about this part is that it doesn't establish how long they'd be, how long it would be before they're considered overdue. So it's not even a matter of 17 days. Could be 2 weeks plus 17 days. You know what I mean? Why don't you put her in charge? He carries this film in a lot of ways. It just goes to show, like, no matter how much training you have, no matter how much experience you have, when you come up against something this crazy, like, people are going to break down. It's going to happen. You know how many times I've said I'm on it and I thought of him? I said it like 2 days ago, 3 days ago at work. Yeah, you do that.
I always felt sorry for Bishop though, because I always
Oh, yeah.
felt like, he's just doing this thing, not realizing how much of a prick Ash was in the first movie.
Man, that guy. You have my sympathies. Oh, wait. We do it right. Hang on.
Yeah.
You have my sympathies. I had to do it through like some liquid in my mouth and shit.
Yeah, I wish I could do that voice, just that with that overly
That
weird modulation.
that
Yeah.
in the background. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, it helps that you're, Ian Holm.
Right.
Rest in peace.
Yes. We lost John Hurt like last year, didn't we?
A few years ago, and then we lost Yaphet Kotto not too long ago.
And then we also, of course, lost.
So yeah.
See, this is the shitty part about good character actors being character actors is that you forget their names. Hang on.
Are you thinking of Harry Dean Stanton?
That's who I'm looking at right now. Yep.
Yep.
Man. Yeah, that cast is getting thin real quick.
Yep.
But I love this. This is all part of the extended cut stuff where they're setting up the turrets and everything, and they're showing like the welds and everything. But I think it goes to show because I think the theatrical cut does a disservice to the amount of time that they spent before things went to shit. So they spent all this time getting set up, and in essence, teaching the aliens that there's certain things that just wouldn't fly, which forces them into the air ducts. But in between all that, they find the that processing chamber that's going to go, ape shit. We're going to see here in a minute. So it manages to show like
it's weird how.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's weird how, or not weird. I guess it's just one of those things that you just ratchet up the tension because there's multiple levels of danger. It's not just aliens. Oh, the whole place is gonna blow up. Oh, okay, cool.
Right. You put this like
and then,
kind of.
Oh,
by the way, they're gonna come in anyway. So this is
yeah.
a way better
Oh, and
job
one of your own is gonna try to impregnate you with an alien. Okay.
Oh yeah, we're getting to that part.
Multiple levels of danger. It's just, I don't know. It's crazy.
Yep. But like the turrets, I think are such an important part of like they show the resourcefulness and the desperation that they have. Um, because in the theatrical cut, it's just like, what's stopping the aliens from just busting in like they did before? Just like Hicks said, they're gonna bust it, or Hudson said, they're gonna bust it just before they're gonna get this. So like
Yeah.
it takes out all the stuff, like even just saying we weld here, 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 and here, and put the turrets here and here. And there's a little bit of that in the theatrical cut. And then Hicks says, well, all we need now is a deck of cards. Stupid 20th century Fox. Fuck. I think the TV cut is the definitive cut. Don't at me. TV cut is basically everything in this minus the Hadley's Hope stuff. Basically, as I recall. That sound about right to you?
Pretty much.
There's like one or two little tiny shots that aren't in there, but beyond that, that's pretty much it. I think that's definitive to me. I've never seen that cut released separately, which I'm hoping the 4K release will do. Not the edited version, mind you. I don't want like the censored version, but I want that cut
Right.
of it. And if it doesn't exist, we'll buy gummy. I'll make one for myself. Or I just cut out the Hadley's Hope stuff. No, I will not release it. I'm not that guy. My own personal use. I might share it with Rob. I don't know. Let's keep talking about Rob like he's not here.
It's so weird though. It's like for me, I guess
Yeah.
it's I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. It's like the Hadley's Hope part at the beginning
Mm-hmm.
is so not wanted by me that I still would prefer to watch the theatrical. You know what I mean? So if you took that out, man, it'd be hard. I'd probably choose the extended cut.
Yeah. It's the only part of this that I'm going like, there's no need for this. And I'm certain like I could have some fun. Like we talked about it, like taking out bits and pieces of it, make it more effective. Um, I would kind of like to see the establishing shot where they just talk about, hey, there's this thing, da 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 da, and that'd be it. Um,
Yeah.
but if I could get away with cutting out the whole thing, I'd be a very happy man. I love how they talk through the possibility of the queen,
Mm-hmm.
and like to me, like this is the perfect way to solve the writer's trap that this is. He's just big, and then he has his fingers are real small. He's like big. And that's a very Bishop way of it being incriminating without being insubordinate.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. She's like, yo, I know all about your bullshit, Burke. He's trying to make it about money, even though it is about money, and that's her problem. Like he's playing right into her argument.
I again, it's that layering of danger and of like you almost like don't think he could be capable of that. and then when he actually does, you're just like, I mean, you hate him more than anything else in the movie.
Yep. And then when he
You know,
dies, you're like,
seeing him get
cool.
it, uh, it's so good.
Perfect timing too. This is honestly, this is my favorite scene in the whole film, aside from the Queen fight, which is epic. In that AVP game I was talking about, AVP Classic, you have
Hmm.
turrets you can set, which is cool. Can I get like a couple of those? Like, I'm not big on like owning my own personal firearms, but I would be down for some like motion controlled auto turret. I'm just saying. I'm here with Amazon Prime, holding up this big shield like ah. Amazon delivery driver instructions. Auto turrets enabled. Please text when arriving. And then like the picture of the delivery is like his dead body, and you're like, how did our delivery go? It was bad. Driver did not follow instructions.
Or you could
Uh,
just, set up an Ed 209 out there.
Please put down your package.
That'd
You have
be
20 seconds to
yeah.
comply. Yeah. We're going to do Robocop soon. The first two, not the last one. Fuck that movie. The remake might be worth a look too,
I
though.
never saw it.
The remake was pretty good, actually.
I've only seen the remake. Yeah, I've seen the remake one time. I saw RoboCop 2 maybe twice, but I've seen the first RoboCop countless times.
Like Robocop 3 is a fun
And the
watch.
multiple versions of that.
The multiple versions of Robocop 2?
Of the first RoboCop.
There's only like two. There's censored one, the non-censored
Well,
one.
no, there's the original cut, and then there's the unedited
Yeah,
gore cut. It's
yeah,
even worse.
which I have. So I happened to buy that on Blu-ray for the first time at a Walmart for $8. Get it home and realize it's the uncensored version. I'm like, how did I buy this in a Walmart for that price in 2009? And then I bought
It's a pretty good one.
it's the best cut of the film that exists. And I bought the Arrow re-release, which does have that version on it, and the picture is a little bit crisper, even though the original version that I have is really good. Like that original Blu-ray release for RoboCop, the transfer was like reference level of like this is what Blu-ray can do kind of thing. I can't imagine being Bishop going in here. Like fuck
That's
that.
weird that even though I enjoy seeing the, I guess, or it's not really extended, is it? It's just there's just some gorier shots.
Yeah,
It's not extended by much, if you know. But anyway,
maybe 5 minutes.
I prefer the theatrical cut because I think it's more, especially like what's his name, Kenny, the guy that gets shot by Ed 209 at the beginning.
Yeah,
It's more horrific that way
to me that's the
because
reason.
it's just like,
It's just quick and done.
oh, go ahead.
I'm asking
Yeah,
like I disagree. I think that it's more horrific to show the links that the Ed 209 will go to incapacitate a criminal. And then when you realize that that's what the Ed 209 thinks, that this is a criminal, that all he did was point a weapon at somebody. That's all he did. Didn't shoot anybody. It was intent. And then he did that to him at that level. I think that it's better for like the character building of like what OCP was willing to do, and then when you juxtapose that to Ronnie Cox's character's uh, reaction, of just it's a glitch. It makes the old. I think it helps justify everything. That sound where it's saying critical, like the tension.
yeah.
I've often considered like looping that sound and making it my alarm in the morning.
Uh, No, thank you.
But clearly, that miniature discussion means that, folks, I'm going to announce it right here. Our next movie is RoboCop. I'm just saying it right now. We need to do it. Stay frosty.
Bill Hudson, or Bill Hudson. Oh my
Bill
gosh, Bill
Paxton.
Paxton.
Can't afford to let one of those bastards in here. But that's how Marine units are. Like, you get on each other's nerves hard. But you're like, nope, I'm in the right place. As she just took a big swig of coffee. He's like, when'd you last sleep? It'll be a few hours now before I get to it. I love the fact that he's like, I'll kill you if it comes down to it. But by the way, I'd rather not. You're kind of cute. And I'm glad that Cameron took the time to really illustrate showing Ripley how to work this weapon for multiple reasons. Um, it's important
Right.
that she know how to use it because she's going to use it later. But also, Sigourney Weaver is famously anti-gun. Like, she mentioned that when they gave her a gun on the set, she's like, "Why am I doing this? Like, didn't you read the script?" And, of course, they shoot. Was in the script and stuff like that. And I think that she was just so concerned with other aspects of the script that this never came up.
Yeah.
But she even mentioned in multiple interviews that he understands the fascination with weapons because there is a sense of power from firing a weapon, but she still was repulsed by it. So it's a hell of a head wound he's got there. Jeez.
Yeah.
This is a nice long shot. What's
Oh, and
interesting.
there's
Yeah, go
some
ahead. Yeah.
Transformers coming up.
Hmm?
Did you know that?
No. Teach me something I don't know
Yeah,
about this
two
movie,
of
Rob.
the yeah, there's two things um in a shot that's kind of hanging down from the ceiling, and they are uh two figures of Shockwave in his quote unquote vehicle form, which is actually just a gun,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but you can see them hanging from the ceiling here in a shot coming up.
So it's a
It's
G1
actually
shock, two G1 shock waves in gun form hanging from the ceiling.
right,
You'll have to point that out because I've never
but
seen that
without the
before.
okay, so I don't know if you had Shockwave,
I
but I
did.
did. There's a piece that comes off, and then the
Yeah.
two arms kind of split off.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. It looks like he's hanging from his feet. The gun is hanging from his feet, and then the two things are kind of split off. You'll see it.
Okay. All right.
And when you see it, you'll go, "Holy crap, I can't believe I never saw that."
There was this little shop. I used to live in Newport News, Virginia, and there was this tiny little shop that wasn't far from my house. And they did a lot of Japanese imports. And I didn't realize it. I don't think my parents realized it at the time either. And they were like, these are Transformers. They're not that expensive. Do you want to get one here? And I said, no. And the fact is, I should have gotten those because those are worth a lot of money right now. And Shockwave was one of the
Uh,
ones I was going to get. Um, But man, I just wish that we'd had the frame of reference that we do now. This is such a masterful scene. I love this. You know, the pulse rifle's gone, and she can, you know, obviously she knows. Oh, oh, there it is. God, the guys that did the effects on this, I mean, it was Stan Winston Studios, but like the guys that did a lot of the bulk work on this
Th- Oh,
went on to form their own company. Oh, did I just miss it?
no, it's kind of so across from her. There's a like a console kind of in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
Okay, keep your eyes peeled. If the I can't remember exactly where it is, but it's
Okay.
behind them, hanging down from the ceiling, and you'll
Okay.
hopefully there's a good clear shot of them at some point.
Just keep my eyes on like the upper third of the screen. Fucking Burke.
Berg, you son of a
Bitch. His mom's a bitch, folks. His son of a bitch. Sorry. Newt with like the actually smart idea. Whoops. I want glass like that though in my house. I'm like really focused. Like I'm not even worried about the tension of the shot. I'm just looking for these fucking these transformers, man.
there's so much stuff hanging from the top. And see, that's the thing is I remember seeing it, but I can't remember exactly where the shot is. But I remember seeing it and going, "Holy crap!"
I'm just looking at the ceiling every single time. Wait, right
There they are.
there?
Look,
Yeah, I
see
saw
them?
it. I saw it. I saw it. I saw it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I saw that. That was a great. So for those of you watching at home, it's these little medical like they look like they're supposed to be like medical examination slash like I guess it's meant to be like a laser scalpel or something. That is
Yeah.
definitely a motherfucking uh transformer. That shot, how much went into that shot? There was like three reverse shots, three different models used in that like 3 second thing. Crazy.
And I like how she thinks quickly too when she needs to, you know?
Yeah. And I love how Newt doesn't like immediately run to him. She's just trying to keep that face hugger at bay.
Mm-hmm.
Smart, brave kid. It takes like three of them to keep this thing at bay. That's crazy. The only thing that I think was a missed opportunity here, and this is really nitpicky, they didn't show like the acid burning through the floor after they shot that face
Mm-hmm.
hugger. Red fuck son of a bitch. And I like how Gorman, because he's been out of it so long and he is still injured, that he's relinquished chain of command to a certain degree, which is really respectful, I gotta say. And then Hudson's like, fuck you, I'm gonna shoot you right in the mouth.
Yeah, I remember one of my friends used to say that to me before I saw the movie.
He would say, like, you're dog meat,
I was like,
pal.
I don't know what that means. You're
what's,
dog
dog,
meat, pal.
what's
Yeah.
dog meat? What even is dog meat? I love it. We waste him. No offense. I gotta be honest. If I'm Hicks in that moment, I grab my sidearm, aka a pistol, push Burke against a wall, shove the gun in his mouth, and shoot it. And then go, all right, now we can move forward. Because I don't trust that guy. They already decided to kill him. Kill him right there. But it's not, dramatically, you know.
This is a great scene too.
God, so good. Like when you're reading it, like it's
And-
reading right, and you're not reading it right. Can't be. It's inside the room. The whole thing.
Yeah. But the single shot of him lifting up the,
Yeah, oh yeah,
and
yeah,
it's so
yeah.
close, and his eyes just slowly turn to the left.
Like the bewilderment on his face in that moment, because it's
Yeah.
the one moment in the whole film where he allows himself to feel fear. The rest of the film, he's stone cold, right? But in that one shot, he just like, fuck, 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 fuck.
And you can also see why was it Kojima used him as a basis for Metal Gear or for Snake.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because it was
so cool in this
for those of
movie.
you that don't know, okay. So there's a promotional picture for Terminator that was never used, but that picture like somehow got in Hideo Kojima's hand, and he adapted that with an artist as the cover for the first Metal Gear game for the NES. Look it up. Pretty interesting.
Was it from
stuff.
Terminator or was it from this?
It was Terminator.
Well, either one. Michael
I'll
Bihn's
look
awesome.
it up. I'll make me do it. I'll look it up.
I thought he had like the headgear and stuff like he had in this
He
movie.
does, but
hey,
he did
what do I
not.
know?
There's no helmet.
No, I'm talking about like right here with the headset and everything.
Nope, it's a term. It is 100% Terminator, and I'll show you.
But look, here's the shot.
Yep,
So good.
that was filmed upside down, by the way.
Really?
Yep, they filmed the aliens upside down.
Oh, for sure. Nice shot.
Yep, and you see her struggling with the weapon. Like it's a small little thing, a small little thing, but it shows that character progression. God damn, you walk over this door. And just the fact that the lights are out
And
and it's
all
all
this had to
red.
be 80 yard.
Oh yeah, it did. Good ADR though. And he's shooting like the last possible second, and then the hand over his face is the best.
Hmm.
James Horner, you're a genius. I miss you. Basically, like there's two pieces of work that he did that kind of defined my childhood, and it's his work on Wrath of Khan and this.
Yep.
Like just
Yep.
when I was learning to play drums, like I would play along to both of these soundtracks regularly, and people were like, "Where do you come up with all these weird off time, like syncopation stuff and this and that?" I'm like, "I fucking listen to James Horner, motherfucker." just the shot of the alien, just like because
Love
the
it.
alien seems mad at him, you know. Well, what I'm gonna do real fast is go to the bathroom. Rob, take it away.
Well, okay. I don't know about you guys, but I've had dreams like this. And there's even the old arcade game of Aliens had like parts of the levels that were built like this, where you're kind of in the vents and you go up or down or, uh it's so claustrophobic and so good. And going back, I like the idea that Hudson, he's kind of a acts like a chicken the whole movie. But when it actually hits and it's time to fight, he's he's like right in the front and he's yelling and screaming and he's a badass. I love it. And the way that those things the actors they like flail around when the aliens die, it's so creepy. And that trumpet sound, whatever that is, the aliens, screaming or whatever. Oh, I love this too. The foot up against the it's so cool.
That's a great shot.
Such a cool shot.
In this brief moment, Gorman finds his shit.
Right.
Because I'm sorry, he's a shit officer. That shot always bothered me. It made it look like the xenomorph's head was bulletproof, but it's not.
Yes.
Did that bother you? That shot is so good. Where like there's the smoke from the acid and the xenomorph
Yep.
comes through. Oh, always were an asshole, Gorman. Did she already say that? I didn't hear it.
Yeah. Well, you kept yapping.
Yeah. All right, so this part here, Carrie George Hen, Carrie Hen admitted to fucking this shot up multiple times just to be able to slide down the chute multiple times. Like she went out of her way to screw it up so she could continue to do it. Oh,
It's funny. I remember not the marketing for the movie because I was too young or I just don't remember any trailers on TV, but I remember
I
the
do.
HBO promos,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I
Yeah,
remember the shot of Hicks in the ceiling and this shot coming up with the alien coming up behind her.
out of the water. Yeah,
Just burned in my brain.
I remember there was a teaser that they put in the theaters. They also put on TV, and the tagline was "Aliens. This time it's war." And that
Yep.
was James Cameron's suggestion, and the marketing team was like, "No, we can run with that." Because this was before marketing was at such odds with the creative team. But even then, like marketing still does what marketing does, right? And for them to have the humility of saying, "No, we get where you're coming from. We don't have to market this as a remake of Alien," which is what a lot of sequels were just kind of remakes that happened to come in continuity after. And his whole thing was, this is not the same kind of movie. We need to market it in that way. And in a subtle way, I think it proved, because they marketed it as an action film, that had, suspense elements. People that, had they been able to see Alien in theaters, they wouldn't have gone to see Alien because of its reputation of being terrifying. But with this having the reputation of being an action film, they felt they could see it, even though it was every bit as terrifying as Alien. You know?
It's weird. There's a release in all the action, you know what I mean? There's a
Mm-hmm.
release from the tension. And that first movie just does not give you that.
Mm-mm. But we've got to go now. And it's in this moment that I think they become kind of coupled. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like he's made the decision that he's going to protect her no matter what. And that turns into something else the next chance that he gets to stop and think. But then the roles reverse almost immediately. This is great. Boom! Role reversal right here. Get it off. By the way, folks, those of you watching, I apologize for my bathroom breaks, but this is what happens when you drink a gallon and a half of water a day and then decide to have a couple beers while you're watching a movie with a friend.
And a 2.5 hour movie at that.
Yeah, right. So I promise you that for future films, we're going to build in bathroom break. We'll give you warning when to pause, and we'll pause it. We'll do it together. I'm not going to put you through this again. Not that I don't love you guys spending time with Rob, because I do. But I feel like it's a jarring thing. I've never heard Quentin Tarantino going, "Oh yeah, guys, I'm going to the bathroom." I've never heard that happen. Imagine Bishop. He's been out there by himself for like 6 hours or some shit. And all he wants to do is get to safety. And they're like, by the way, we're not leaving. What? What are you talking about?
We're not? Yeah, the way he says it.
We're not? What are you talking about? Puts the straps over, then gets some electrical tape going. I guess it's duct tape, actually. Black duct tape, which was not that common back then, by the way. Giving himself a shot
Definitely
of
a
morphine.
Rambo moment.
Yeah. By the way, Zack Snyder, you should note this whole landing and like Bishop not being there stuff. You didn't do it justice. You did it wrong. You did it wrong, Army of the Dead motherfucker. By the way, we're not doing a commentary on that film. That's not happening. Fuck that movie.
Yeah, I've realized, especially when I was thinking about my review, I was like, I don't think I ever want to watch that again. Ugh.
Like on one hand, I hated the movie because of what it could have been and what it wasn't. But I enjoyed the roller coaster ride that I was on. Right there. Don't be gone long, Ellen. That's a moment right there. Ugh. I'm I'm not mad at Alien 3's director. His name is escaping me at the moment. I'm so entrenched in this one.
Of what?
Of Alien 3.
David Fincher.
Thank you. He directed Fight Club, and I was thinking of his name as Tyler Durden. I didn't want to say Tyler Durden out loud. Tyler Durden. But yeah, it's not his fault. But I feel like I just really wanted to see more of Ripley and Hicks together, even if just for 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, and then get him killed off like Psycho style. But killing him off while he was still in the bed, like, that shit move.
Well, they did do the sequel to Aliens as a comic, and it starts off. Well, it's basically Hicks and Newt together, the
Yeah,
whole movie
I would love to have
or
seen that.
the whole story. It's a pretty good comic too.
Folks, do not let this moment pass where Rob knows more about comics than I do. It doesn't happen often.
Well, some comics.
Right. When it comes to movie based comics, you definitely have a lead on me. When it comes to all other comics, I've got you beat most of the time. At least I think so. We'll see what happens.
Probably true.
When we start
Probably true.
doing
You
when we
know,
start doing MCU movies, then we'll see. We do MCU movies, we'll see.
oh yeah, MCU. I was never into the MCU prior to the movies. Like I read like Ultimate Spider-Man and Ultimate X-Men and stuff like that, but I was never into the Avengers and stuff like that. Just never was.
Oh, like there's a bunch of classic Spidey comics that get referenced in Homecoming that most people won't pick up, but I'll walk you through it. One of these days we'll do. I don't want to necessarily do them in order. Like that's the thing. Like I would love to be able to like. There's just not enough time. I want to like if we did one of these every day,
we'll
like it'd be one thing.
Do the best ones. Do the ones that do the ones that you know you have a lot to talk about, or I have a lot.
I
to
could talk about any of them. Like I would love to do all of them. I just like on the one hand, because the thing is like I know myself because like I do these from like the place of like being someone who wants to create content, but also someone who when I want to watch a movie, but I don't really want to watch it, I'll spin up the commentary and I'll just spin all the commentaries together and just do whatever movie they're talking about. Um, like I want to do all of them. I would love in a long enough timeline, like a couple of years from now, for someone to be able to watch the entire MCU up to that point with our commentary. I would love to do that. I just don't know that that's attainable right now. It's such a big goal. We're on episode 2, Rob. But
right.
I could talk about all of them though. That's the truth. The only one, with the exception being Dark World. I would tear that movie apart.
That's what we should start with.
I would tear that movie apart. But in hindsight, you know,
I've only seen it twice.
I've seen it twice as well, yeah. And it will be interesting to rewatch it now with the context of Endgame and so forth. So,
right.
So this cocooning is made out of fiberglass, and apparently she had to be very deliberate with her movements. And when Sigourney Weaver comes in to like actually tear everything through, they needed to get it in one take and do it in just the movements were like very highly choreographed. But apparently like Sigourney Weaver like cut the shit out of her hands because of it being fiberglass, because it's sharp stuff. You see that movement on that? It's a combination of cables, and then that was one of the suits that have like is more based on like a nylon skin suits. They have like the movement and flexibility, like right there. Like it's just breaking off in hard pieces, so she's getting sliced up here. Like I know the reputation for these movies was, yeah. I was gonna say like I know the reputation of the movies were like KY jelly and stuff, but where'd all that gooey stuff come from? Like, what is that? Never heard about that. Not sure I want to know what it is. And here it is. The reveal of the queen. Look at all these eggs, and she's just like, fuck. What the fuck?
I love it. See, that's definitely shot further away, but zoomed in.
Yeah.
You know, that one shot. It's just weird. Some of the the shot choices or the camera choices are weird to me.
Well, the close-ups
But
to
that's
me,
I don't know.
um, like you think that is a crop shot? Is that what you're thinking?
Man, this
The design on this is so fucking good. Stan Winston, you're a beast, and all the people that work under you are beasts. And I think that's the sign of a good creator. Stan Winston got a lot of credit in the early days, but he had a team of people that really went to
yeah.
bat and made shit happen. Like look at Pumpkinhead, where he directed, and then his team did all the work. You know what I mean? We should do that one
Mm-hmm.
sometime. That's a good movie.
Never seen it.
You've never seen? Oh, well, we got to fix that, sir. It's a really good creature feature. And I love how the flamethrower thing is like a threat to the queen, but it's also a really good excuse to show off the queen in all of her glory.
Mm-hmm.
Smart stuff. Jim Cameron, you might have a future in filmmaking. I don't want to spoil it, but you might.
This shot right here, I love because there's another alien tail right there on the wall,
Yep.
just sitting there.
Yep.
I don't know if you noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. I love that stuff. As that alien is kind of like going behind the corner, there's
Mm-hmm.
another alien tail right on the wall
Mm-hmm.
that's just still. Oh, and by the way, as far as continuity goes,
Yeah.
I feel like I have to mention this
Go ahead.
because we were talking during it earlier. The
Yes.
scene where she's like, break the glass, and Ripley's like, okay, there's 3 marks on the glass.
Yeah.
The rightmost mark she actually makes in the later shot. Just saying.
Yep.
I noticed it. Yes, I know it's there. Just in
Yeah. So like
case.
basically
So when he puts it down in the comments,
the most powerful hit she makes with the chair is actually her first one.
right.
Basically. Most of my viewers aren't that adept at it. Like the whole point is to inspire you motherfuckers. But if you happen to come in here and you're new to the channel, Rob and I got you. We got you. We really got you. Like I'm not here to supplement the already existing commentaries that are out there from better creators than I, or even the documentaries that are out there. But I want to give you little tidbits of information from all those sources that I've gathered, plus my own observations in a more casual environment. That's what we're about.
yeah.
Like all this stuff is like great
That's
establishing. Like it just like it shows like, well, how could the queen move around? Well, she ripped off her uterus basically. Which ow. By the way, the flares design always remind me of Slim Jims. Because when she puts them in her pocket, I'm like, ooh, she's taking a snap.
yeah.
Which is not what's happening.
She's taking little sausages.
Snap into it. Is it just me, or is this like almost exactly the same cadence and style of voice that was on the Strobo?
It's very close.
If not the exact same. I don't recall. I can't hear Mother's voice in my head, but I hear this voice all the time.
It is different, but yeah, it would be interesting if Wayland Yutani, decided to hire the same voice actress for all their computers.
Right. A great shot of a queen. And this fake out happens
It's
like
just a
3
big
times.
puppet.
It's a gigantic puppet with people inside of it. Basically, you got 2 guys inside running the arms, and then the overall body movement, and then everything else is hydraulics or puppeteering from remotely for like the mouth and stuff. There's a little head tilt here. Yep, character moment.
Yep.
It's the little things, and Cameron knows it's the little things. And in these moments where like things are so tense, you should forget things like the other elevators coming. So when I was live tweeting Army of the Dead, I actually tweeted that exact quote. Bishop, goddamn you! When spoilers. Because I was like, wow, could you have ripped this off any clearer?
And for nothing but a little gag, it didn't even matter,
It
really.
didn't. It really didn't. And Tig Notaro's character didn't even have the excuse that Bishop did.
Right.
God, it's beautiful. It's rear projection, but it looks beautiful. And the version we're watching is a DVD rip from many years ago. And it's pixelated the fucking back, but it still looks great.
I'm watching it at 720p, I think. Looks good to me.
It's not 720p. Because, you know, DVDs can't do that. But I can see the compression very clearly on my side.
Well, I don't have it full screen, I'll say that. Maybe
Right?
that helps to see it in a smaller window.
Yeah, if you had it full screen, you'd probably
But
be able to see
still,
the pixels. Yeah. Well, this works well for our usage case because after the last one, we decided to try our best to avoid watching movies online to minimize internet problems. You know how many times I've had to like pause in slow motion the scene to try and figure out when the queen got on board? I can't find it.
right.
There's no version of this where the queen gets on board that is shown on camera. And this is the thing that's used in like 90 trailers.
Oh, yeah.
I used it in a YouTube video once. It was not aliens related. And I like this little touch where he goes, "It's okay, we're okay." Hmm,
She's not smiling yet.
nope. But this is very reminiscent of like the ending of Friday the 13th, you know, where like
Yeah.
you think it's over, but then they're taking a little bit too long and you wonder if something's up. But, you know, natural human emotion makes you go like, well, everything's fine. Like there's no evidence, nothing's wrong. And they become friends. You did fine. And then this, ugh. So this shot here, that thing coming out of his chest, is like this fabric nylon hybrid. At least what originally came out of his chest, that they then just fill with liquid to make it go, and it's just multiple shots from there. The stuff in his mouth is yogurt and milk mixed together, which initially was fine, but then as they had to go do shots throughout the day, it spoiled and made him like deathly ill. And once they realized that he was getting ill, they started to make it fresh for every shot. This stuff took for like a couple weeks to shoot, I recall.
I remember the first time I watched it too. I was like, how did an alien get into an android? You know, because the way
Right.
the whole tail doesn't come through.
Right, because you think
So
it's a
good.
chest burster, right? Really masterful
Yeah.
shot. Good reveal. I like how this works. Like the queen hits the door and she's like just like an animal would do, like trying to get in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And she's mad. She's really mad. God, these shots of Bishop are so
And it's funny
fucking
too. At this
good.
point, oh yeah. At this too, you kind of forget.
Forget what, Rob?
You forget about the loader. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. You
the
forget that
first time you
that's
watch it.
yeah. Like what? Like why is she hiding herself and all this stuff? And Newt, Godzilla bless her, like she's doing great. Is keeping away because she's done that for how long? 6 months or whatever. But I like how you just stop, just like fuck you, basically. I would have loved it if she just screamed that, honestly. And then this is like the penultimate '80s movie moment ever.
Heck yeah.
Here it is. And the look on Newt's face
I
is
bet
like,
people
wow,
lost their
you
freaking
swore.
minds.
Oh, I don't think that there's
Can you
ever
imagine
been.
going back in time, seeing this in the theater opening night?
I would have loved it. I would have loved to see this in the theater. But like, if you think about like this is all practical, the entire thing. Like that loader's really interacting with that alien. Like that's actually a thing.
It's
Like
super impressive.
it's insane. It's visceral in the moment, and but then you look at like the movements of just like the alien queen, just the way she moves is so it's aggressive, and it like there's a lot of emotion in the scene for an animal that, as far as you know, doesn't have a ton of emotion necessarily. Um, so it's running on instinct, but there's also they're like they're enemies. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Two moms duking it out basically.
Yeah.
I love that. Like the reveal of like, oh, by the way, I've got that shit too. You get this quick insert shot of her grabbing the loader just as she pulls down, like, no, you're coming with me, bitch. Those are miniatures, and you would never know it. Crazy.
Yeah.
And
It really is technically just ridiculous.
astounding. Like, even by today's standard, that's a rough shot to pull off. And do you like how her climb up was shot in such a way that you see that there's a control there, and then she uses it.
Yeah.
And this is the only part of the film where I'm like, I'm so sure.
Right.
But like
Where it's like she intentionally loses her shoe.
I don't think she intentionally loses the shoe, but it's just like that's like what?
But she screams like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I get
Like
where
she
you're
did
coming
it
from.
on purpose.
Yeah, I get that.
It's just weird looking.
Like this part, I
Oh
fully
yeah.
believe because of the nature of what the vacuum in space is. Blowing air out is what it's doing. It's not sucking out. So all she has to do is be at a higher velocity of the air that's being pushed down into that hole. So I buy that. And here's where I get really picky. I feel like this cue Musically, like, he could have changed it a little bit, but it's the exact same cue from like 5 minutes ago.
Right.
It's a nitpick, but it's still really good. So, like, when Lance
Here's
Henriksen,
another big reveal
hmm?
right here.
Where she's mommy. Yeah,
Yep.
the best. It's the fucking best.
What were you saying? Lance Henriksen?
Yeah. When Bishop was getting blown across the floor, they were having a lot of problems with the way the dummy was moving. And he said, shoot it, show me the best cut, and then I'll match it when you're shooting me. So there's continuity. He adjusted his performance to match the model rather than the other way around. When I was a kid, like seeing Newt in this outfit, I just thought it was like a nightshirt. But then I realized later in life that this is her in a Marine Corps shirt that's just oversized for her. It just didn't click until a few years ago. But, oh, well, it makes sense. And her British accent comes in through here. All the way home.
Yeah.
And that little tiny moment where they just allow themselves some peace and joy for just a few moments. Enjoy this moment, chat, because the next movie, they're dead. You know, it's like, what the fuck, dude? So horrible.
I mean, it's weird because it's like people say, well, then they went through all that for nothing.
Yeah, which is why it's one of the biggest things that it just bothers me, like with the whole Alien 3 thing. And we'll get into that when we do that movie because we're going to have to. We're just going to have to. Aliens will always be in my top 10. And you know this, I was going through, I have an account on this site called Letterboxd, and I've been clicking through it for the last couple days while I'm listening to commentaries and listening to music and getting other stuff done, just to relax. And I'm currently over 1,600 movies that I've seen. It's a lot of fucking movies, dude.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But this movie will always be in my top 10. So when you consider, like, even if I never click another movie on Letterboxd again, I'm 44 years old. 1,600 movies is a shitload of movies. You also have to understand that, like, the top 30% of those films I've watched like 5, 6, 12 times. I spent a lot of my fucking time watching movies, dude. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I've probably seen, I don't know how many I've seen, but I know I've watched Star Wars at least 150, maybe 200. I mean, I don't even know how to qualify it. I know I've seen the Star Wars movies a lot, so
Yeah,
that's a weird one.
like Empire.
But yeah, I'd like to go through it too.
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back. I've watched the most of any Star Wars film ever, from front to back. I've watched the first act of Return of the Jedi almost as much as that. There's something about that first act of Return of the Jedi that I just love. I don't need to see the rest. That first act is amazing. But Aliens is another one where I always have to watch it the whole way through. The other three in the original quadrilogy are not like that. Like Alien, the original, maybe a dozen times. But this one, like, easily 30 to 100 times in my lifetime. Crazy. But folks, the credits are at their end, which were unbelievably short, I must say. I'm so used to long credits. But
yeah,
that's Aliens, man. That's one of the best films of any age, of any century. And it's over, and that sucks. But we hope you enjoyed the commentary.
Thank you for hanging out with us.
Absolutely. Rob, they can find you at Order 42 Show. They can find me at Grindhead Jim. Um, we'll see you on the next commentary.
Bye.
Cheers, man.